Welcome into another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I am one of your hosts, John. Alongside me, Deuce.
Come stop, bitches.
And we're back again. Although, no pizza power. We're doing it old school, like we used to. Like the very first episode. I'm at my place. You're at your place.
Kind of last minute.
Last minute.
Trying to work out a logistical detail.
So I call the pizza place on Monday. And I said, hey, how you doing? It's John Jamingo. And I wanted to come in Wednesday at like 2 o'clock to record a podcast. And I asked for the manager. And the guy's like, excuse me? And I said, yeah, I was there like a month ago. You were? I'm like, uh-oh. Like, I was freaking out. So then
You hear the record scratch sound effect?
Yes. So then I put my salesman voice on. I said, well, yeah, I come there. We used to podcast where I am, and we used to order Secontis all the time. And my co-host we do it once a month now because he's available. And we came to Secontis, and we had a great time, and we sat in the front room. And he's like, yeah, I don't think I want that to happen here. And I'm like, all right, thank you. And that was it. So I was like, shit.
Different manager, maybe? Or
yeah, it was probably a different manager. Although it might have been the owner. I don't know. Because I know a guy owns it.
Mm-hmm. Are they franchised?
Yes, there's a bunch of Secontis in this area.
Because I knew the Seconti. He lived down the street from my store in the town I was in. And yeah, he's a pretty decent guy. Young guy. Well, I guess he might be
then.
Well, I was younger then too. I would say he's probably like maybe 50. The oldest he probably is 52.
Oh, okay.
Because I opened that store back when I was 30. That's
right. Wow, it's been a long, long time ago.
Yeah, he was a few years younger than me. So, yeah, he was a pretty decent guy, but it could be just a manager. But I was never sure if they were franchised or not.
So anyhow, we're back to where we used to there. And I was going to have you come here, but I bought a new mixer. And I tore everything out of the studio downstairs. So when the new mixer comes in, I could put it in its nice new place and have everything all cleaned up and ready to go.
Oh, you said that about the last new mixer you bought 5 years ago, and you wound up in a fit of fury. You sent it back, or you sent it to somebody else.
I sold it to Randall and Brooke from, and
okay.
He still has it. He does a bar now, a live stream at a bar. And I looked at the live stream, and there's the mixer. It's still alive. I just couldn't get the fucking thing to work.
Oh, is that a digital one?
It was a Zoom L12. Remember, I was so excited.
Well, it was a different type because maybe I'm speaking wrongly here. Was it your original one, analog, and you switched to a digital?
Oh, digital, Deuce. This is the way to go, Deuce. Digital.
That was because I remember that was the issue, and you just couldn't grasp it.
Dude, I would have the thing all set up. You know me, I'm a freak. I test everything. I'm ready to go. You would come downstairs and it wouldn't work. And I swear to God, down in my basement, there's one of those metal poles that goes up to the main beam.
That's called a molly column, John.
A molly column. Thank you, Deuce.
Keeps your house supported. Don't remove that.
No, what I remember was at one point,
that could be bad.
At one point, we were ready to go and it wouldn't work. And I wanted to pick it up and take and smash it against the molly column until it was in little tiny pieces. But the damn thing was like $600. So I was like, shit, I'm not smash as much as I wanted to smash it. $600, I think was. So I said, and then I talked to Randall and he needed something. I said, here, I'll send it to you. I think I sold it to him for like, I don't even remember. I think it might have been $300, might have been $150.
Just to get it out of your sight?
Yeah, I forget. So I shipped it down to him, and he's still using it. But I've been using the Rodecaster Pro now for at least 2 years, and maybe longer. And they have a brand new version, which has got a lot of more bells and whistles. So I bought that immediately, and it's supposed to be here in like a week. I'm hoping.
Supply chain?
No, they're brand new, so they're ready to go. They have a bunch of them, so I'm all excited for that to come in here. So I went downstairs, and as I was running the wash through the washing machine dryer, I just took everything apart, got it. I have all the original boxes. I boxed everything up because I'm going to sell them. There's nothing wrong with those mixers. I mean, they're very good.
They're wrong. They're just, If you outgrow it and you need a newer one, that's what you do. If it still works, someone else can use it.
Exactly.
Repurpose.
Yeah, just don't throw things in the trash. Don't smash them against the molly columns when you're upset.
How good would that have felt, though?
Oh, just and watch pieces of plastic shards flying through the air. Oh my God, that would feel amazing. And the cursing. Just think of the cursing, the names of motherfucking piece of shit, all that.
This is very therapeutic.
Yes. As my therapist once said, I have a problem with impulse control.
That's one of those things. It felt good. It was a great idea at the time, but in retrospect, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
So getting ready to do the show, bring it back out of mothballs for 4 years, I found out that there's a lot of things have changed with our show. Like one of the things was Twitter. We used to have, our Twitter account was Brand X Podcast.
Yes, that was a contentious issue between us.
Yes.
That's because I did not like Twitter, and I still don't like Twitter. Although with Elon Musk moving into it, if that happens, not that I'm going to get a Twitter account, but I think it's a great thing to have happen.
I kind of agree with you. Here's the thing. I go to look up the Brand X Twitter account. It's not there anymore. Shit, what happened to the Brand X Twitter account? So I go to sign in. This account doesn't exist anymore. So I said, wait a minute. Here, when I was suspended permanently from Twitter, the Brand X Podcast had my phone number on there.
Oh, so they linked it to that.
It linked it to that, and both of us were gone.
Purged.
I
thought maybe if it disappeared because you would change the name to Unbelievably Stupid and all that stuff.
No, I got a whole new one for that.
Okay.
That debacle. So going back to that, I started a new one, which is just Brand X Pod. We're on Twitter at Brand X Pod. And I used a different phone number. You can sneak around. Not that Twitter's going to find out. I don't think.
Little did John know that as we speak, they're monitoring all telecommunication.
All telecommunication.
Oh, you're doing an end run around us? Delete.
Yeah, I lost a couple accounts. Well, you know me. I had like 7. I had 7 Twitter accounts for different
Well, you
things.
used to rotate them for freshness, so.
Yes. I still had the Brand X Facebook page, and we still have the Brand X YouTube page. So we still have all that. But Twitter was a problem because I called Rob Reiner a meathead, and I was banned permanently for bullying. Although that was his nickname on the show that he was on 40-something years ago, 50-something years ago, I guess.
You cannot be the only person in the world that called him meathead on Twitter. There must be a shitload of people that got banned from Twitter for doing that then. If there's one, there's got to be a million.
I think the exact tweet was, like Archie always said, you are a meathead. Whoop.
Or, hey, let me tell you something, meathead.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Would you look at that? The meathead thing. You just go.
I'm a meathead. Hold on. He gets on the phone to Twitter. Jack Dorsey, because he's probably, he's in the know with Jack Dorsey. I had another guy call me meathead. Hang on, Rob. I'm on it. What's his name? Jamingo. John Jamingo. All right, hold on. Whoop, he's gone. Thanks again, Jack. I appreciate it.
3 minutes later, he's calling back. There's another one.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, listen, I'm going to do this one last time. Now lose my number.
Yeah, he changed his Twitter account, didn't give it out to anybody.
Yeah.
Says, I can't handle Rob Reiner. Changed my address.
No, he's no more at Jack. He's like at Jack 2. Hey, we talked yesterday because I had to inform you that we weren't eating pizza today. And you said you were going for a stress test. Well, I guess it went well. You're here.
Yeah. Not only was it just a stress test, but they did a whole bunch of other tests that I wasn't expecting. It wound up being like 2 hours, but everything so far, the stress test went well.
Did you have to get on the treadmill?
Yeah.
And did they give you a shot of the nuclear stuff?
No, they didn't need to do that because apparently there's parameters for that. If I had a heart attack or some other kind of heart issue, then they would probably have gone and done that. But this is basically a fact-finding mission. So they said, get up on that treadmill, and
get your heart rate up to, what did you
crank that up?
Yeah. So when I was doing it when I was younger, I had to get my heart rate up to like 160. The last time they did it, it only had to go up to, for me, I think it was like 140 or maybe 135. It wasn't a lot. I know that. Yeah. I was like, really? That's all? And they go, oh yeah, when you get older. No, we don't push it that far.
Yeah. Well, my heart rate doubled, but I have an unbelievably low heart rate to begin with because they do your blood pressure. And so my resting heart rate was 48.
What?
Yeah. I'm like
My,
an elephant, like the larger the animal, the less beats you have.
well, that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense because mine.
No, you would think it would be the other. Because, yeah, like a mouse or a bird, they have like heartbeats of like 180 beats per minute.
But they
It's
don't
like
last long.
crazy. Well, yeah, they just burn up, I guess. But yeah, so I was 48 beats per minute. And then after I got done the treadmill, it just basically went up to 87.
That's it. My resting heart rate is 87.
So that was the good news. You
Okay.
know, but I was telling you yesterday, it's like, I'm getting ready and Diane likes to state the obvious. So you have your stress test to go to on Tuesday. Yeah. So what are you going to wear? I said, well, I thought I'd wear a suit. Tie, jacket, the whole bit. That way, if I stroke out in the midst of doing it, they could just drop me right off at the funeral parlor and lay me right out right there. Just like, wise guy. But is there anything more female that can be said? Like, who worries about what they're going to wear to a stress test except my wife?
Women.
Or a woman, exactly. Just like, really? This is what you're worried about? I'm like going in, I might have some issues. The last thing I'm thinking about is what I'm going to wear while I'm on the treadmill. It's like,
something I didn't even think that. Well, okay. So the last time I had to take a stress test, they said, okay, you're not going to be able to walk on a treadmill. I said, yeah, I don't think so. So they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to shoot this medicine in there that's going to make your heart rate go up. Okay. And they said, you'll be fine. Okay. Jesus Christ, I'll be honest with you. By the time I got into where I had to be, they could have just hooked me up. My heart rate was probably 160 at the time. It was anyhow. So I get in there. They lay you down on the table. It's all dark in there. There's like 6 people in there. So they put an IV in. They got me.
What's it, a seance?
That's what I'm thinking, right? My shirt's off. This time I shaved my chest so that I didn't rip the hair out.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got my chest shaved. I got all the things all over me, all the, whatever they call those things. Things they stick to you. What are they called?
Receptors, I guess.
Whatever they're called. So I got it on there on me, and they put this. They say, okay, they shoot this stuff in me, and I can immediately feel my heart beating in my ear, like in my ears. So I'm sitting there like, oh my god, my vision tunnels in, and they're like, okay, here it goes up to 1 something, 110, 120. All right, 135. Okay, now they shoot in the radioactive dye. And now the doctor's in there. So they shoot that goo all over your chest for the ultrasound. And they're just rubbing it around my chest. And they're pushing real hard to get through the fat to see the heart. And they're taking pictures. They're going through this and all that. So I guess it was like 3 or 4 minutes. And they go, okay, wow, everything looks good. Like they were shocked. They said, wow, look at that. Everything looks good. Okay. So I
guess that's a left-handed compliment.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have bet the house against this one, but okay.
Yeah, I was so sure we were going to ship your ass up and crack your chest open immediately. So they go. So they all leave. They just leave me, and I'm just laying there with this goop on my shirt off, this goop on my chest. They pulled the stuff on, but I still had the whatchamacallits on the
electrodes.
The electrodes. Thank you, electrodes. All right, so I had the electrodes on. They take them on. I still have the patches on. So they all leave, and I'm just sitting there. So I'm like, are they coming back? What are they going to do? So I get up off the table, and I look out, and I lean out, and I go, is that it? And they go, yeah. Oh, I can get dressed. I go, oh, yeah, go ahead, get dressed and leave. I got all this shit, like all this goo on my chest.
Yeah, they did. Well, that's what they did to me. I thought they told me I was getting a stress test, and they were going to test my circulation. Okay, whatever. And apparently they did that on my carotid arteries. They did it on my aorta. They did it in my legs. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I was like batter dipped. That stuff like was all over the place. And then you feel so vulnerable.
Yeah,
you're just like laying there, and they're bending my knee one way. Well, they had to do it twice on my legs because one was for blood flow in, and then they did the veins. That was the second test. So, and if they found an issue there with that, so something I have to look into now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, more stuff to look into, but They said, "Oh, your heart's strong." Like, well, okay,
good.
that's good news.
Yeah, so I just cleaned up like got done shooting a gay porno and
Mhm.
got dressed and kind of waddled my way back out to the car again.
Ugh, that's an yeah. It's and then I was starving to death when I left. I was just like I was so hungry. Like I don't know. Well, I was in there. I was in there 2 hours. Yeah, so I went in there. I was like, well, how long will it take to run on the treadmill? I didn't know they were going to do all this other stuff to me. And then I got home and Diane was like, oh, I was wondering what was taking so well. I didn't know it was going to take that long either.
Did she have your life insurance policy in her hand with her hand on the phone?
Oh, well, that's all outlined from the last time I went to the hospital because I have a folder ready to go. The when I drop dead folder, like here's everything you need to know. Here's passwords, accounts, life insurance policies,
Right.
Cancel these credit cards, so my dad had his stuff in order and I was the executor of his will. So when he passed away and I had to go through all that stuff, and my dad had all the shit together, it takes a while just to plow through that stuff. Yeah, it took a year to settle the estate, just to get the ball rolling and everything. It's so when that happened, I was like, you know what? If I drop dead, she's shit out of luck. She won't know what to do. So I just coalesced all this information in one area. And that way it's like, break the glass open, pull out the envelope.
That same with me.
You go.
You remember my father, when he passed, he just seized and fell. And that was it. And he had nothing. He didn't even have a will. I went through hell with that. So with my kids, I have a death folder that it's just death. Has my passwords and everything in there, what to do. And it's just like, take this. Here's where all my equipment is. Throw the rest of the stuff in the dumpster. Set me on fire. I don't care. Just burn me
Viking
up.
funeral.
Yeah, just set me on fire. It's not a big deal. So yesterday, I've been playing in the metaverse. I like the metaverse. I know you're not going to be in the metaverse. I get that. You like reality stuff. You like stuff you can hold on to. But I kind of like the metaverse. The only problem with the metaverse right now is it's all very, very woke. Everywhere you go, it says be kind, no homophobic, no racist talk, no this, no that.
Isn't it supposed to be like that in reality?
Yes.
Yeah. Here's the problem right off Jump Street. If you're not supposed to do that in reality, what makes them think when people make anonymous names like Jamingo and Deuce that they're just going to wander around in there in the metaverse, totally anonymous, and they're not going to be belligerent? So they needed to put these signs up?
So you say that. So I go in there and they have a comedy club where you can go in and you could go up and do it. You go up and hold the mic and you do comedy. It's got like a 3-minute timer. You can go up and do 3 minutes. It is cool as shit. I'm not going to lie.
What's this costing you?
It only costs you for the thing, the headset, the VR set. That's all it costs.
And what's that? Like $100,000?
No, it's $300. It's $300.
That's all.
That's all. It's straight. It's half a mixer.
But then again, you were talking about destroying a $600 mixer, so I guess you've got money to burn. I don't know.
I guess. So I'm in there, and they have moderators in there. But sometimes there's no moderators in there, and it's a fucking free-for-all. In the metaverse, you can be anything. Before you, I'm a 60-year-old man, balding, with white hair and white beard, and I'm rather overweight. In the metaverse,
you're Brad Pitt.
I have all my hair. I have a nice round beard. I'm muscular. Oh, yeah. In the metaverse, I have a shirt and tie on. I walk around with a shirt and tie on. I'm too cool for school in the metaverse. I go in there, and I hear the Ensler just being panted around like a volleyball. And I'm like, well, what do we have here? So I motor my way in and I listen, and there's about 6 black guys, and they're in there and they're having an argument about racism and Canada and the United States.
Well, let me stop you for a second.
Sure.
Okay, there were 6 black guys in there.
Yes.
Now, how do you know? Because I'm assuming in the metaverse, you could just be, you just said you could be anything you want to be.
Yes.
So it could have really been like shit disturbers. They could have been any race.
Well,
but their avatars were black, I guess.
Yes, their avatars were black. That's number one. Yes, they were. But the other thing is the vernacular, their speech pattern, their accent. You could tell that they were black.
What voice? Did they use their real voice?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You use your real voice.
Okay. See, I don't know enough to know enough.
Oh,
So,
dude, when you're in there, it's your real voice. And
so it's your voice. Okay.
yeah. So when you're walking, yeah, it's not like you're typing. Fuck that. If I had to type that, I'd be forever. What am I going to type jokes?
Well, I thought maybe it might be the robot voice or whatever.
No.
You know, I don't know what goes on.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know what you kids do in that place. So it's your real voice.
like I'm like, well, let me just read this book. That's what Deuce is doing.
Right. Anyhow, in the metaverse, they have a thing that's called a safe zone. So I mosey on over and I'm just listening because, you know me, I like a good argument. So I'm listening. And apparently in the metaverse, if you feel unsafe, there's a thing that you press on your wrist. It's like a button you can press on your wrist and it sends you to a safe zone. And you can report to people that are bantering the Ensler around like a volleyball. Someone did this. And the next thing I know, we were whisked out of this place
To the land of Oz.
to the outside where we couldn't move. We were paralyzed. We couldn't move back and forward. We couldn't do anything. We had to leave.
Now, how did you? Just because you were in the room, you're an innocent bystander, and you got included in this?
I got included, man. They just went
Just
in. They
because
went.
you were there.
I was there. There was. I guess it was like, okay, all of you out. I guess I don't know if they could tell. I don't know if a metaverse employee came in and saw all this. Because all I'm doing is sitting there listening back and forth, trying to figure out what the hell they were talking about. I couldn't have been there more than 2, maybe 3 minutes listening to them. And the next thing, we're all out. And guess what? All of us, like there was 8 of us sitting out there, out in La La Land. We couldn't talk to each other. Our microphones were muted. We couldn't move. We could just look at each other. And I'm like, can you hear me? And they're like, they're shaking their head. When you shake your head, you blink, it blinks. It's crazy, Deuce. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's a trip in there. So what I had to do was I had to leave the room. You have to zip out. You zip out to your own house. I have a house in the metaverse, by the way. It's really decorated nice. So I zip out to my own house. And then I was allowed back in again. For what reason, I don't know. I guess they just put us in timeout. I don't know. They have a podcast studio in there. One place has like a place where 3 people can go podcast, 4, 6. It's amazing. I'm telling you, it's going to be something when they get it straightened out. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be into it.
There's a lot of little kids that run around and do little kid things. And the nice thing about this comedy club, it's only 18 and older. So if you hear a kid running around there,
How do they know that?
well, you can hear their voice.
No. I mean, how do they keep people out
They can't.
if it's supposed to be 8? Yeah, I mean,
They can't. The kids just come in. So what happens is there's a reporting thing. So you report and everybody votes. Vote this person out. So they vote the person out, and all of a sudden you see a little thing come across the screen that says, so-and-so will be removed. And you go and you look and you watch, and all of a sudden they just disappear. They're gone.
So they're Thanos.
They're Thanos into the atmosphere back to wherever they go. And they're not allowed back in for like 2 hours or something like that. But it is pretty cool.
Any particular, because there's a few of them out there, a few platforms, right? For the metaverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Zuckerberg has got Meta, and then there's a bunch of them, right? Though.
Yeah. The metaverse is the Facebook thing. Like you can make a profile on your Facebook profile. You can make a meta profile on there. I set up the John Domingo profile because I've learned from the last time that I'm not going to have my stuff. I'm learning from the kids today. The kids today, you don't even know their last name. You have no idea where they live. You know nothing about these kids. And I'm like, okay, this version of John Domingo, nobody's going to know shit about me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I go in there. It's pretty cool, though. I kind of enjoy it. I like the stand-up comedy. I found out that they also have a couple stand-up comedy places. Some of them, I haven't been able to get into there yet. There was nobody in there when I was in there the last time. But you're allowed to go, and they say, hey, listen, this is a comedy club, and they're going to be telling jokes, and please don't report anybody. Don't report anybody. So I want to see what happens.
All you whiners out there.
All you social justice warriors, just shut the fuck up and don't go in here. You've got your clean comedy spot where you're not allowed to make fun of marginalized people. No cursing, no making fun of marginalized people, no making fun, no sexism jokes. I'm like, what do you joke about? What do you do? Knock jokes? What the fuck are you doing there?
It's a new one.
It is.
It's a new age.
Have you heard about the Washington Post fight that they had over a joke? All right. So the Washington Post, I'm sure you're a subscriber.
Yes.
All right.
Just the actual, because they have their online presence, and then there's the old media presence, I guess. So are they all inclusive? I mean, I don't know if they bounce back and forth.
They're all inclusive, I think. So this is what happened. So there's a guy in there. He's one of the journalists. His name is David Waggle. Waggle. I'll go with Waggle. For this purpose, we'll go with Waggle. David Waggle. He was on his Twitter, and he saw a joke, and he thought it was funny, and he retweeted the joke. Would you like to hear the joke?
Sure.
All women are bi. You just have to figure out polar or sexual.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a pretty funny joke.
It's a nice pun.
Nice pun.
Yeah. Brevity is the soul of wit.
You would think. A female journalist accuses him of sexism and sparked an online Twitter brawl involving two of her male colleagues, one who was suspended on Monday for a month. So now they're in there and they're in Twitter and they're just haymakering each other. So the new executive editor, her name's Sally Busby. It's actually her real name. She had to come in and say, hey guys, hey, can you kind of calm down? Can we not do this on Twitter, please? The lady attacks her.
Mm-hmm.
The guy removed the post. He says, hey, I just removed the retweet of an offensive joke. I apologize. Didn't mean to cause any harm. Pfft, it's a joke.
Yeah. Well, once you apologize, then it's
over.
It's never enough.
No.
You have to not apologize in today's world.
Right.
Because once you apologize, they smell blood,
Yes.
and they come looking for more.
That's the woman that's so offended by this joke that she needed action. So she attacked another guy. He is gay and Hispanic. So he's like, hey, wait a minute. I'm gay and Hispanic. Why are you attacking me? I'm more of a, what will you call that? Where I'm more of a victim than you are.
The intersectionality checkboxes?
The intersectionality checkboxes. Yeah, I'm gay and a person of color, and you're just a white chick. I think that they all should be fired. Not all of them. I think this woman should be fired, but the only reason they're not firing her is they're afraid that she is going to sue them. So that's what they're worried about.
Well, because you can sue a ham sandwich nowadays.
Yes.
Now, did Jeff Bezos put an end to this?
He does not do anything. He has Sally Busby.
Yeah. That's like the whole Elon Musk thing. Like they were all wringing their hands and gnashing their teeth because Elon Musk was going to buy or is planning to buy Twitter. Who knows if it goes through or not. But they didn't say boo when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post because he was an acceptable billionaire to control a media empire. But Elon Musk, who's basically a libertarian, if anything, he's not allowed to have Twitter.
All right. So what I want to ask you is, you're now the head of the Washington Post. And you've watched all this going on. How do you handle this?
I would just let the guy tell the joke, but I'm from a different era. So
yeah, but I mean, your employees are now fighting openly on Twitter, embarrassing the brand of the Washington Post. Not that not that the brand doesn't embarrass itself on a daily basis, but your employees are fighting on Twitter, and you have to stop this or handle this. What do you do?
I don't see where there's anything that they can do to keep them from doing anything on Twitter. I mean, you can only basically maybe suspend them in the workplace. But as far as telling them to shut up, you really can't do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I guess you're right. This is how I would handle it. I would call them into the office one at a time. And I would say, this stops on Twitter right now. If you want to do it internally, we'll do it internally. But the next tweet that I see, you're suspended for a month. If I see you tweet about this meeting, you're fired. If you want to take that leap, Froggy, go ahead. Dismissed. I would do it to every one of them. And then put it back in their court. Because you know me, if I tell you that you're suspended and fired, you're suspended and fired. I counsel, do all that. I'll talk to you, see if we can resolve this. But when there's enough, that's it.
Yeah. It's just strange. Everyone has a platform, in a way. And I never thought I would be the one to say anything like this. Well, 30 years ago, Deuce would never think he'd be the one saying things like this. But in a way, I think social media is really a detriment. You have the anonymity factor, like I was talking about. People get their beer muscles on in Twitter or Facebook. Yeah, I mean, you get a friend request from somebody on Facebook, and I don't know who this person is because now no one goes on as their real name. Months later, you hear, oh, yeah, I sent you a friend request. You never accepted. Like, I don't remember you sending me a friend request. Oh, yeah, because I'm Milk Thistle 5. I don't, how would I know that? It's like, how would I know that? And then they get all constipated at you because you didn't accept the friend request. But it's that stuff there where they go on as anonymous. So people, they would never, ever go out in public and go to the supermarket and behave in that manner. But on the social media platforms, everyone's feels that they're invincible.
Yeah, everybody's a warrior. Everybody's all painted up like Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Freedom.
My truth.
I think that's the big issue I have with it, because I never thought it would go that way when computers got cheap enough. Back in the day, it was just chat rooms, and people went in there and, they would be like John 22, that was, they didn't make anything up. It was, you pretty much knew who everybody was. And everybody was polite. I mean, it sounds like it's hard to believe 30 years ago in chat rooms, people were actually civil.
Twitter's just a big giant chat room, to be honest with you. That's all it is.
Yeah. You talk like, because I hear you guys talk about on what, Discord or whatever.
Yes.
Isn't that just a modern day chat room just for podcasters, more or less?
Okay, it is kind of, but there's more stuff. Like, in other words, I was going to talk to you about Discord later, but we might as well bring this up now. Because you know how I drug you kicking and screaming into Twitter?
Yeah, you're not going to drag me into Discord.
I am not dragging, Deuce. I'm not dragging anymore. I'm not dragging. But I have a Discord server, Bob and I, and if you came in, I would make you an administrator of it too. And it's just the Boomer Bunker. And in the Boomer Bunker, we have the Boomer Bunker podcast has a channel, and the Brand X podcast now has a channel, and Rubberneckers has a channel. And people come in there. And yes, there are some trolls, but we have control of it. So in other words, we can boot people out. We can mute them for a while. You have control over it. It's not like it's yours. It's like having your own Twitter. But what's really neat in there, it has like a voice chat where you can go in and voice chat. You can also, we could, I'm not saying we will. We could broadcast this right into Discord, and people could come in and watch us do it live. Not that we are. I'm not saying that. God forbid I'm not saying that. And I don't want to do that anymore.
So I guess they would be happy seeing a big black box, where my camera is blocked.
Yeah, exactly.
They can hear my mellifluous voice. It's coming over with no...
Well, watch this. This is the one thing I think is pretty cool. So if I stop I don't think you can do this because you didn't check the box, but if I stop my cam, all right, you can still hear me, but I'm not here. Now, right. If we set your voice up, we could make it where you're out of here, and it would just be a big blue screen. But anyhow,
can we do red?
Oh, we could do red.
You would do the big blue screen.
Oh. Well, the reason is the fact that
I know. I just wow, that didn't take much effort at all.
Oh, I know how you are about red and blue.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yes, you did. Went right over.
More water, Hooper. He's running.
He can't hold down 3 barrels, can he? He'll never hold down 3 barrels.
Have you ever had one do this before? No.
So I said, listen, I told you I'm easing into this thing with Brand X. I enjoy doing the show. I enjoy getting a chance once a month or whatever. We can come in here and talk and bullshit and do the podcast that we used to do. I enjoy this. So I'm not trying to drag you kicking and screaming. But since you asked about Discord, it is more of a your own server where you have control over it. I have control. Now, if you go into other servers, as I know, because I've been in other servers, you're at their mercy. Like, I'll go in there and they'll change my name, where I say, I'll have Jamingo as my name. They'll change my name. The one time they, what did they call me? Lazy Bones was one of my names that they would change them. But in my Discord server, I am the master of my domain. I am the king of the castle.
Are you wearing a suit and tie in that too?
No. No. But it's pretty cool. Like, you can go in there and chat and talk, and then it is like chat rooms because there's different channels where you can go in. Like, there's a meme channel and a TikTok channel and all that kind of stuff. It's boring to the rest of the people, but if you ever wanted to try it, you can put it on your phone. I don't know if you'd like it or not. You could come in and just come into the Boomer Bunker one where you would be safe and then see what you think. And if you don't like it, you just out you go.
I could be safe.
You could be safe.
So now I'm a millennial. I need to be safe.
I know. Deuce comes in. I don't think I would like Discord. Next thing you know, he's in there, haymaker swinging. Oh, yeah. The old Deuce comes out.
Well, that's what I said. I pretty much bailed out of Facebook. So
Yeah.
Twitter, I bailed out a long time. I just didn't like it at all. We started one for the show.
Yes.
And I was Deuce at Brand X, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever I was. And you're just getting attacked for like, hey, check out our latest episode. Fuck off. Wow, that escalated quickly.
The best one.
I don't see any benefit to this.
There's one time there was a benefit. Remember? Oh, smelly clam. Oh, smelly clam.
Yeah.
That was the
bully you.
Well,
you big bully.
Hey, it wasn't my fault that she had an article posted in the New York Post about how she had to break up with her boyfriend because her snatch stunk. That wasn't my fault.
Why would you float that out there?
I know. My mistake was at putting her Twitter handle in the tweet where she heard it, and then she tried to cancel us. Remember?
Yeah, vaguely.
They all came in, and we were all yelling on us.
Her friend.
Yes, it was amazing.
Did I put him in a Brand X T-shirt?
Yes,
I think on one of the show art because he was some dude, and so I'm just going to put him in a Brand X T-shirt. So he was wearing some other T-shirt. I just put the logo over it.
Yeah, see, that's now you're getting to the spirit of things.
So, but yeah, that was just good, harmless fun.
When we were younger, you'd made a joke, and sometimes the more offensive the joke, the more funny it was. But now everybody wants to be offended. Offended is the new laughter. If you can be offended, that's, oh my God, how great is that? If you can go and put your warrior paint on and get your mouse going and start clicking and yelling about how the injustice of what they just said and how horrible, and oh my God, we need to get rid of them. Let's find out where they work. Let's get them fired. Let's get, if they have
dox them.
Yeah, dox them, all that shit. Let's do all that.
Yeah, speaking about doxing, look what the hell's going out in front of Brent Kavanaugh's house now. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not.
Oh, they just arrested some dude who went there to try to kill him.
No shit.
Yeah, I just saw it just before we started to put all this together for today's recording. It came across my news feed on my phone. And what did they think was going to happen when the president and Jen Psaki says to go out there and demonstrate in front of justices' houses? I mean,
didn't they know that was against the law? I mean, does that even matter to them anymore?
No, it would have mattered if it was the other three, but not the six. So yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear about that.
I didn't. Isn't it shocking to you that people don't understand the three branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial? I mean, didn't we learn that in 5th grade, maybe 6th grade?
Well, the bulk of the younger people today, yeah, and there's an exception to every rule. You speak in generalities and you get yelled at for that. But in general, they don't even understand why the country was set up the way it was with a federal system. They don't get it. They just want one big empire and it would just collapse. That's why they went with a federalist system. You would have, at the time, 13 individual states competing against each other, and the best ideas would survive. That's what the whole purpose was for. You need a federal government to be in place, but you need the states with their end pulling the wagon more than the federal.
So the thing is, they're like, well, why can't we protest? Because the court doesn't care about public opinion at all. It doesn't mean anything to the court. The court just takes a law and see if it violates the Constitution. It has nothing to do with public opinion at all.
Yeah, well, you can protest where you want, but the place to protest is in front of the Supreme Court building. You don't go to people's houses and do that.
They're not even allowed to do that. That's against the law to go to the Supreme Court building and protest.
They can protest outside of the Supreme Court, but if you're trying to intimidate a justice or a jury into changing their verdict or their ruling, that's what's illegal. But you're more than eligible to go out and protest peacefully, which doesn't happen anymore. But yeah, I'm surprised you hadn't heard about this. So now maybe, they'll, this is why they came out against that. Like, you can't, I forget who the organization that did it, but they released all 6 of these justices' home addresses.
Why isn't that person in jail?
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't you do this? See, this is what we don't have laws anymore. We have laws for thee and not for me, or
selective enforcement.
Selective enforcement. Yes. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. The same way that whoever released the draft of the opinion for the Roe v. Wade decision should be in jail, or at least disbarred, fired.
It should be fined and disbarred. Possibly there could be a prison term, and I don't know what the length of time of that would be, because our laws are. But I mean, that was such a abuse of trust. That never happened. I mean, the country's, however old it is, the Constitution form of the government is however old it is, and that never ever happened before, ever.
No.
Now I got to do quick math, and we know how podcast math goes. Yeah, the country's 233 years old under the Constitution. That never happened before.
So now all of a sudden it happened and we're not doing anything? Like nobody's... I'll tell you right now that if that was on the other side, they would know who it is already. Like, in other words, if it was... Well,
wait. You say the other side.
I know.
Who do you think... I mean, who do you think did it? What side?
That's why I just said, I can't even say. I think it was Edwards, the Chief Justice. Isn't that who it is?
Yeah, Roberts.
Roberts. What did I say? Edwards? John Roberts, not John Edwards. John Edwards was the one that banged some other broad and got her pregnant while his wife had cancer. John Roberts, the Chief Justice. This is why I need you. John Roberts, the Chief Justice. Because the next thing you know, in Discord, I have where the brand X is. They come in and they fact check me, and they have a ball where I'd just rather have you fact check me in real time. I think he might have released it because he didn't want this overturned.
Well, yeah, but there's 2 rulings out there, and he tried to split the baby. There's the original suit, which holds up the state, that whatever state it is, because there's so many states that have different abortion laws that were going in. That one was upheld 6-3. Mm-hmm. But when it came to Roe v. Wade, he said, "Oh, look, I'm on the other guy's side on this one." So he basically split the baby on that. I think it was an operative. I don't think it was a specific judge. It's an intern or it's a clerk. And I think it's probably someone that is in that deep shade of blue, because they know that this is what they need to motivate that base for the election. Because if all the polls are to be believed, there's a shellacking coming, like
your lips to God's ears, my friend.
And assuming that elections aren't adjusted the way the last one was, so just saying, I mean, that's where I think it was, because they have everything to gain and nothing to lose, or actually it's the other way around. They have everything to lose and nothing to gain. So they would actually put that out. Why wouldn't they? Yeah, because they know nothing will happen to them.
Right now, they want to distract us from gas that's $5 to $6 a gallon nationwide, and food shortages are coming, rolling blackouts because we don't have enough energy because we went off of fossil fuels, and now we're supposed to be going to solar and wind. And at night, there's no solar, and when there's no wind, no power.
I just went and got lottery tickets. One of the other things I do is I run the lottery for where I work. And I collect all the money from 50 people. And so the store that I go into, it's a little deli. And the guy said, "Oh, yeah, business is so off." And I knew it was going to happen because I saw my father go through the same thing, and I said, because the gas is so high. And he said, "That's exactly what it is, but no one wants to believe it." And, in a nutshell, these people, "Oh, so gas is a little bit more expensive." Well, I travel 84 miles a day.
Oh, shit.
Going to work. So when that evil orange man was president, when I would get gas 3 times a week, it was costing me like maybe $120 a week.
Right.
Now it's costing me $300+. And now it's like, okay, well, now I just got rid of that money. So now that's less money that people have to spend on, like, hey, let's go to the deli and pick up 6 hoagies and watch the baseball game tonight. And, or let's go to this restaurant and do that because it hurts everything.
Yeah, it's where it really starts.
I mean, I saw my father go through this back when he had the restaurant. It was crazy. See, people don't remember because you and I do. We're older than dirt. There once was a time when nobody had personal computers and printers in their own home. So if you were a restaurant, you had menus printed up. Well, back then, the things were just like they are now. You didn't know what the produce was going to cost you. You didn't know what the cold cuts were going to cost you or the food or anything. And there was surcharges because of the gas. So my father was throwing menus away because the prices were going up so much that he just printed menus with no prices on them. And me and Joe, every week, that was our job. My father would have to work out the new prices on the menus and give them to us, and we would have to handwrite like that week's worth of menus. And talk about tedious. I mean, you're talking like 200 or 300 menus because my dad was open for breakfast and lunch and dinner. So you have all these items. Nowadays, people are like, oh, yeah, I'll just go to my computer, make the adjustment, and I'll print them off myself. You couldn't do that back then.
Yeah.
You had to go to Kinko's, So, I mean, like, I think they're long gone now, or you had to go to like Sir Speedy or Mr. Pip. I think all those places are out of business now. I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw a printer.
No, I can't either, to be honest with you. They're going to try to run on guns, abortion, and
Great Insurrection.
And the Great Insurrection.
Yeah.
That's the
that
deal.
Nobody got charged with insurrection.
Right.
Seems to me, if you're going to be charged for murder, you better have had murdered somebody. They have a body.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Right.
But
you can't say, hey, they're guilty of murder and charge them with jaywalking.
Yeah.
It's not really, doesn't have the teeth that it should.
But they taught all their buddies in the media they're going to have 6 or 7 days of broadcasts of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're going to, like Shapiro was saying, they're going to tell us everything that we already know.
Right. And no one cares. I mean, again, there are useful idiots out there that believe every fucking thing that the media tells them, the news tells them. I can't believe. I'm like, you believe that? That sounds right to you?
What can you tell me just out of the blue? What do you know about the number of illegal immigrants that are coming into this country within the last 18 months?
All I know is that every month they break a record. Like whatever, like say last month was 18,000. Mm-hmm. This month it's more than that.
Last year they said 2 million came over. And that was like a record not seen like in 20 something years. And this year they're projecting it's going to be like more than that. They're almost at 2 million now. So Diane and I went out to dinner with friends, and they had their friends that they know. We played trivia because I have to give all the answers apparently. And we're sitting in this restaurant, and we're answering. So later on, this guy, nice guy, but he's as blue as the Pacific Ocean. It's like he was sitting there telling us that that's a lie. No one's come over. The border is sealed because they left Trump's orders in. And I'm like, well, you can leave the orders in place, but if you don't finish the wall, and he was off the rails, man. He actually, and he says, well, I don't know where you're getting your news. I says, well, I don't know where you're not getting your news at, but I mean, they're setting records on how many people are like coming over this border. So there are people out there, they got their heads so far up their ass, they must have a special apparatus to breathe because otherwise they would just drop dead.
I agree with you. And again, in Discord, there's a guy, Corey, his name's Soft Weekly. He loves to tell me about all the mistakes I make and stuff like that. He is a flaming Democrat, socialist, communist. I don't think you can be a socialist and a communist.
But then you repeat yourself.
So he's constantly in there telling me, about myself. And I'm supposed to interact with him. You know who else he hates? He hates Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder says he's from Michigan, and Corey Soft is from Michigan. So he hates him too. So I figured I would just take a page out of Steven Crowder's book and just ignore him. Like he's not even there. You know what I did to him? The death curse.
Oh, okay.
The death curse.
There's like so many references.
The death curse is where people just walk by him like they're not even alive. Like in society.
Or I call it shunned, like
Shunned.
the Amish. Yeah,
Yes.
just a shunning.
Yeah, so I put the death curse on Corey, where I don't see him, I don't interact with him.
You know, it's really funny though, because I've known you 35 years.
Yes.
You were always like a Democrat, but the Democrats back then weren't communists and socialists like
Right.
they are now. So it's just,
I felt like I was socially liberal, but conservative.
fiscally conservative. That's
right.
a scam.
Yeah, of course. The things I've always said.
That's a scam. Everyone that's a platitude that a lot of people bought into. But because you can't be fiscally conservative and be socially liberal, because that costs money. It goes totally against being fiscally conservative.
Where I disagree with you is, yes, it does cost money, but it doesn't cost money. In other words, I'm for everybody's freedom. All right. I'm for your freedom to.
But that don't cost anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm fiscally, socially liberal, is because I believe in everybody's freedom. I think, and I've been through this before, I think women fucked all this shit up with the abortion because they can't make a decision. And I think that's the problem with most of this stuff, is women can't make a fucking decision. And you know that as well as I do. The only people that don't know that they can't make a decision are women. Mm-hmm. And this is what hamstrings them every time.
It's never just one thing. It's usually a conclave of events that are neatly dovetailed intersectionality with each other. And because it's like one thing after another. As far as women, the reason the workplace is the way it is now is because of not directly women, but feminism, where they told them, don't raise your kids, just go to work. And then during the late 60s into the early 80s, you had about 50 to 100,000 women per year poured into the workplace, and it drove the wage down. The evidence of that is back in the day when you got a raise at your job. Prior to that, like you got I got a 7% raise. I got a 10% raise, Then you have all these skilled workers with degrees that know the culture, that can speak English, flood the workplace. Well, now it's supply and demand. Now you got all these people, and now people get 3% raises per year. Further evidence of that is because they say, well, no one is making a living wage, and they say, well, you know what, we'll throw baby care at you, and child care. Well, how about if we just have a return to how it was, where just the husband can go out and work and make all the money so that the women can stay home and raise their kids. But when you say that, they make you sound like, oh, you want them barefoot and pregnant. Well, I don't necessarily want them barefoot, but pregnant is nice, because that's what keeps your culture alive. That's what sustains the society.
Right now, the women that listen to this podcast their eyes have rolled in the back of their head, and they're doing convulsions right now. But here's the thing, and I agree with that to a certain extent. But now we have a bunch of women that are now divorced, raising kids, and have to work. What are they supposed to do? How's that supposed to work out?
That goes back to, like I said, it's never just one thing. No-fault divorce was a travesty. They just made it so easy to get divorced just because you didn't feel it anymore. Because for whatever reason that is, I think it's basically selfishness for the most part. This is the problem when you speak in generalities, because immediately they're going to go to the infinitesimally small amount of women that were probably physically abused, domestic violence. And I understand that. I'm not saying stay married to a guy like that. And it went both ways. There were guys that were like, I'm not really feeling it anymore. I think I'm out of here. And they made divorce so easy. It actually had a devastating effect on the culture.
Again, I think we're moving. I'll be honest with you. I think as I watch the kids today, I think they're kind of moving away from marriage. I don't know. They don't want to be committed to something that long. They've never had to be. And to be honest with you, and you know this, I've said this before, I think marriage license should be like a driver's license. You should have to renew them every 8 years.
Yeah, my uncle used to say that.
Yeah.
But the young people really not being into it is because look what they're ingesting. Here's this kind of good. They go in hand in the point I'm trying to make. When we were growing up, most of the people were against illegal drug use, and the laws were enforced. They always say, oh, the war against drugs is a disaster. The war against drugs was working. It's just that they decided to stop enforcing the laws. But they'll always point to polls. And I'll say, well, in the 1960s and 70s, 65% of people were against. I know I'm just pulling that number out. I don't know what it was high. The vast majority of people in the country were for enforcing the drug laws. So then what happens? Well, you change the culture through the entertainment. So look at every movie that's made. What do? They glamorize drug use. We age out and die. So now you have these group of generations of people that grew up with entertainment that glorifies this stuff. And now it's like, well, look at this. 80, and I don't know what the number is. 85% of people are in favor of legalizing drugs. Well, how did that happen? Well, they changed the culture through the entertainment. And they did the same thing with marriage, because the vast bulk of the entertainment was, don't get married. If it feels good, do it.
When it stops feeling good, don't.
Then that's what these kids are immersed in every aspect, the music, the movies, the TV shows. You got Sluts in the City. I mean, look at that. That's the biggest,
Oh, so it's the females, the sluts. It's not the male sluts?
Sex in the City.
Sluts in the City.
It went right over your head, Sarah Jessica Parker walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?"
Where's my thing? I can't find. You know something? I organized this soundboard the way you said by alphabet, and I can't find rim shot. Where's the rim shot? Motherfucker.
Is it under hi-hat?
Hold on. There we go.
Yeah, you can trim that all out in editing.
I'm all. No way. I'm leaving all that in there. Yeah, I have this all. I guess I can't figure out what's the R. There's R-A or R-I. Here it is. Oh, all right. Listen, we're running long because we want to keep this around an hour.
Unheard of. Us run long?
I know. First of all, I saw something that I thought maybe you and I could help them with. And basically, it is like a Dear Abby. I think it's called Dear Amy now. And if you wouldn't mind, I would like to read you this, and I thought maybe we could help. Here we go. Dear Amy, I'm from a small family. I have one brother. And while growing up, my two cousins, my aunt's sons, were like brothers to me. We always spent vacations and holidays and family celebrations together. Fast forward 30 years, and we're not as close as we used to be, for various reasons. I relocated to the West Coast, and my family's in the Midwest. I see my parents and my brothers often, but I haven't seen my cousins since the pandemic began because we have differing opinions on vaccinations and social distancing. I believe in both. They don't. This is where it gets sticky. My daughter's engaged, deeply in love and very happy in an interracial relationship. My spouse and I are quite fond of our future son-in-law and his family. My dilemma is this. Both of my cousins have expressed racist views and used racist slurs in the past. I do not trust that they will be supportive of our daughter's marriage, and I'm not comfortable with them attending our wedding. Should I call them directly and address these issues outright? Should I quietly not invite them? Honestly, I love my cousins, but I just don't like them anymore because of their worldviews, and I don't know what to do. Stressed in the West. Thoughts?
Well, it's their wedding, so they can decide who they want to invite. Sounds like she's trying to take a real big controlling factor in this. Myself, I would just call them up and say, "Hey, listen, this is what's going on. We would love to have you there, but it could be a sticky situation, like she said. It shouldn't be a big deal." Some people would make it a big deal.
I would say that she feels that her cousins, and I don't know her cousins, they're in the Midwest, and maybe they throw that N slur around like it's nothing, like it's a Frisbee. I don't know. This would be me. I'd call them up and I'd say, "Hey, Sally's getting married." I'm sorry.
Did they say what race it was? I mean, it could be an Asian guy. It could be a Mexican guy. I mean, you don't know.
You know something? Let me go back there because
I think you're reading into, unless I missed it.
Interracial relationship. Thank you, Deuce. You know something? I immediately went to black. See? Yeah. I'm racist. I went right to black. First of all,
with your bad reading, I thought, well, maybe I missed it.
Damn it. I thought I did a good job there. Hey, that's racism. I mean, I guess they could have been an Indian guy or maybe an Asian or Hispanic.
They say the West Coast, so really the whole coast, California, Oregon, Washington, it's pretty wide open out there. I mean, it could be, as far as interracial, it could be anything.
Right. Yeah. When does a filthy Mexican turn into a Hispanic? When they're engaged to your daughter. Anyhow. So
You know how to break up an Italian picnic.
No.
Hey, the concrete truck's here.
See, these are the jokes I miss.
It tends to break things up real fast.
Yes.
What do you call an Irish 7-course meal?
I don't know.
A potato and a 6-pack.
That's actually true. All right.
We didn't have an issue like that by any means, but in Diane's family, they had people that they could not even be seated even remotely close to each other. And you were at my wedding. We had 200 people.
Yes.
And that was a bitch.
I don't remember any of that.
Well, yeah, we didn't tell you. That's why.
Okay.
But when it came to the seating chart, when we had to like seat Diane's family, these people had to be like on total opposite sides.
Had to be in the
of the ballroom. Yeah, I mean, because they literally do. They're like the Hatfield and the McCoys, evidently.
wow.
You know, over politics is what it was over. So much so that they had to be like told by Diane's family, you know, cool your jets. We're keeping you separated, you know, and no shenanigans because this is their day.
Come in, have a meal, get some drinks, enjoy yourself, do a little dancing if you want. Stay away from no arguments, no fist fights.
Yeah. So I mean, now obviously that's an easier solution than what this lady's writing about. But maybe she should give them the benefit of the doubt and give them the heads up.
See, I thought that she was saying, well, listen, you know, because they said maybe they said racial jokes like, when does a filthy Mexican turn into a Hispanic when they're marrying your daughter? Maybe they said that joke, and maybe he's Hispanic, and maybe she says, I can't have him there. You should say, hey, listen, nitwits, I know what you think. If you think you can behave yourself and not start a race riot at my daughter's wedding, we'd love to have you. But no shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then they would say one or two things. Okay, we could do that.
Either they come or they don't.
Right, that we could do that.
If they feel that they can't do it, then they don't come. Yeah.
I ain't going to no wedding where my second cousin's going to marry a border crosser.
Pacific Islander.
Yes. Yeah. All right, look at us fixing. We're fixers.
So what would you do?
I just told you what I would do.
Yeah, okay.
I'd call them up and say, listen.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there.
Yeah, she's marrying a person of whatever. If you can handle yourself and not make open jokes in front of people that will be offended, I don't need a race riot at my daughter's wedding. So if you can behave yourself, we'd love to have you. If you can't, we would appreciate you not coming.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Just make up your decision. And if whatever you decide.
Your family's from New Jersey, right?
Yes.
So we're from the city, Philly. And back in the day, I mean, it's funny because my dad married an Irish girl. His brother married an Irish girl. On my mom's side, she had 3 sisters marry Italian guys because they were all in that part of the city. You know, and back in the 40s and 50s, there would be fist fights and, you know, and then by the 60s, all that shit kind of went away, you know. So now the bulk, myself and Joe and the bulk of my cousins, we're all like Irish Italian, you know, for the most part. But at one time, it was like the Italians were considered like another race.
Well, you heard about the Moors.
What about the Moors?
Well, when they invaded Italy, Sicily, the Moors were African.
You do history so badly.
All right, so what is it? Tell me how it works.
The Moors are from Morocco.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which is directly away from the Iberian Peninsula in Spain.
Okay.
The problem that people make when they try to do history badly, the way you're doing is the Mediterranean was the trading center of the whole known world. So you can have people that lived on the banks of the Mediterranean that have pieces of other cultures all over the place. You could be from Italy, but you could have Greek, you could have Egyptian, you could have Carpathian. Yeah, you could have anything in there. In fact, my son just did his, what is that, 23andMe?
Oh.
23andMe. Like Diane Diane and him went and did that. And Diane's we didn't learn anything from Diane. It's just like, yeah, hers was like 68% Italian and the rest was German. Oh, what a shock, because we knew where her family was from. My son's is a lot more interesting because there's Scandinavian in there. There's Arabic. It says Arabic, so that could be anywhere like Egypt or Jordan or Israel. There was Italian, there's German, there's English, there's Irish. So now they want me to take one. I says, well, I don't need to take one because Diane's is boring. So all that interesting stuff obviously came from my side of the family.
Right.
So I don't need to take 23andMe. But that's the problem is they, Italy was handed over from Greece, had parts of Italy, France had like Sardinia, Sicily. That island's been owned by everybody. The peninsula, the Germans were in the top, the French were in the west.
I appreciate the history lesson. The only reason
I'm sure you'll cut it down to nothing.
No, I will not. The reason I said that was that movie quote where the guy was going to get killed.
No, what movie was that?
I will put the movie quote in now.
Here's a fact. I don't know whether you know or not. Sicilians were spawned by
Ensler.
Come again?
No, it's a fact. Yeah. You see, Sicilians have black blood pumping through their hearts. And no, if you don't believe me, you can look it up. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago, you see, the Moors conquered Sicily, and the Moors on
Ensler.
So you see, way back then, Sicilians were like wops from northern Italy. They all had blonde hair and blue eyes. But, then the Moors moved in there and, they changed the whole country. They did so much fucking with Sicilian women that they changed the whole bloodline forever. That's why blonde hair and blue eyes became black hair and dark skin. It's absolutely amazing to me to think that to this day, hundreds of years later, that Sicilians still carry that
Ensler
gene. Now this, I'm quoting history. It's written. It's a fact. It's written.
I love this guy.
No. Your ancestors are
Ensler.
Hey. Yeah. And your great-great-great-great-grandmother fucked an
Ensler.
Oh, yeah. And she had a half
Ensler.
kid. Now, if that's a fact, tell me, am I lying? 'Cause you're part eggplant.
The only thing I remember about the Moors is moops, with Bubble Boy on the Seinfeld deck. That says Moors. Nope. Says moops. It's a typo. Nope.
It's a very famous movie clip. I don't even remember the movie, so
It's so famous.
It's
You
so
can't remember
famous.
the movie.
Listen, I can't remember half the things. So it's so famous that I went and found it, and I put it in back there where when you listen to this, you'll hear it.
Okay.
Anyhow, that's why I said that.
All right. The subtlety was lost on me.
Yes. That's okay. I enjoyed the science or the history lesson and the science lesson, the 23andMe and then the history lesson. All right, let's get into some podcast shout-outs. We used to do podcast shout-outs all the time because they were some of our favorite podcasts. They're independent podcasts, and we highly recommend you check out these podcasts. The last time we edited this podcast was in July of 2017? No, 2018. July 19th, 2018. I thought, why don't we go and see if some of these podcasts are still here and if they're not? Mm-hmm. All right. Since you started, go ahead.
Okay. So this one we definitely know, Jason and Mindy podcast with Jason and Mindy.
The Who's Right podcast with Doug and Anthony, still there.
The difference between us with Jason, Mindy, Stephanie, and David. Now,
it's on hiatus, we know.
Right. I'm not sure because Jason and Mindy are now in Florida. And Stephanie and David, I assume, are still in California.
Yes.
So I guess it's on hiatus. We checked the last episode was downloaded in October of 21. So
Right. Before they moved.
thereabouts. So I don't know. We don't know the status on that one.
Okay.
But you can listen to their back content. It's all out there.
Right. And it's good. My favorite is the one when they did karaoke. I love that one. I still listen to that one. Stephanie does the Journey. God, my memory. I Shake My Head with Lisa and Sam. Still going, over 300 episodes.
The Unwritable Rant with Juliet Miranda.
Married as Fuck with Randall and Brooke. Still going. It's not like a weekly podcast. They do it when they can. But Randall has another podcast out with another gentleman. And next week, I will make sure that I have that in here.
The Robin Slim Show at Robin Slim and Sleepy Lucas.
I haven't heard from Sleepy Lucas anymore. They always take the summer off. So they just did their last episode.
So they're on a hiatus then?
Yeah. And the last episode that I saw them, they had Slambo was there.
Okay.
The Story Behind with Emily Prokop that's no longer producing episodes.
Wow. How's she doing?
She's doing pretty good. She's got a son. He's going to be a football player. The kid's huge. He's a big, strapping kid.
Now, how long ago did she stop doing The Story Behind?
I don't. It was before.
Because you and her were doing the Hate to Wait.
Hate to Wait. And it was before that. And we did Hate to Wait for 2 years. And it's probably been a year since we've done Hate to Wait. Maybe a year and a half. So it's been a while. She might have stopped just as we've stopped doing Brand X.
Okay. Horribly Awkward with Sean Fuller. I see Sean on Facebook a lot, and he's doing a lot of floor installations.
But not much podcasting?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know.
All right, so we're going to say no. All right, the Jeff Pert Show is it's no longer a podcast.
Everyone has a podcast. Adam and Brian.
No longer a podcast.
Okay.
The Bold and Belligerent with Lauren, Josh, Luke, and Adam. No longer a podcast.
Really?
No, I don't even know what happened to this guy. What was the other guy? Who was the guy that I always used to fight with? What was his name? Was that Luke? Might have been Luke.
I'm not sure. I thought it was Lauren.
No, Lauren was a good guy. I like Lauren and Josh and Adam. I think Luke.
I think it might have been Luke.
Yeah, Luke was. He was a bit of a avant-garde. Yeah, he was an asshole. Let's just break it down. He was an asshole, and we never got along.
Wow. That's John Domingo making friends, and
he'll never hear this.
And building bridges.
He'll never hear this. Brilliant observation. I'm sorry, it's yours.
Brilliant Observations with Jessica and Melissa.
Now, Jessica's gone.
I hate to say, I don't remember this one. Maybe they were just starting out as I vacated. I don't know. I have no memory of this one.
Okay, so Brilliant Observations was Jessica, me, and Melissa. And this is when all this shit was going on with Trump and politics, and I could not, and the wokeness, this is when this all started. And they would say something, and if you know me, I would charge in, and then it was becoming contentious. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. So I backed out of Brilliant Observations. So then Jessica wasn't doing, so now it's Melissa and Amy. And it's still going. They still put out a weekly show, and I still listen to it, and I still enjoy it.
Okay.
Just Ask Us with Stephanie and Jason. That's no longer a podcast.
Well, I think that morphed into the difference between us.
I think it did, yes.
I think they were, at the very beginning, they were doing the two different ones, and I think they transitioned into just doing the one with Mindy and David. This could get awkward, Janelle and Samantha.
No longer a podcast. Samantha got married, and I think Janelle is now engaged. I still follow Janelle because she's a radio personality, not a DJ. She's a radio personality, and she's out of Canada. And I still follow her. She still pops up on my social media every once in a while, and she's engaged, and Samantha's married. And then Dumb All Over with Tom and Austin. I don't even remember this podcast.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. What was that?
I have no idea, but we used to listen to it 4 years ago.
The Shiznit Show with Dino, DeJong Monique, and Pip Lilly.
That is no longer a show.
I was listening to it up until the beginning of COVID.
And maybe that's what stopped
maybe that's why they stopped. I don't know. I don't know enough to know enough.
I know Dijon had a baby boy. I know.
Oh, okay.
I know
Congratulations.
that. I haven't heard congratulations. I haven't heard anything from Pip Lilly, and I still see Dino every once in a while on social media.
Yeah, I see him on Facebook. Mm-hmm. What little time I spend on Facebook.
And then we also got to talk about, after I get done doing this show at 9:00 tonight, so we're doing this Wednesday, it's almost 3:00. At 9:00 tonight, I will be doing the Boomer Bunker podcast with Boomer Bob and John Domingo. And then tomorrow night, it's Rubberneckers.
You're all over the place.
I know. With me, Man Brain Dave, Jody B from Po' Boys, and we got a new kid, Josh, because Devin kind of just, he kind of quit. He just stopped showing up. So that was that.
Okay.
Any other podcasts you listen to you want to throw on this list? Independent podcasts?
There is one that I do listen to, but it's kind of nichey. I mean, I'm
Give
in
it
the
a shout
Corvette.
out.
Well, yeah, I listened to the Corvette Today podcast with Steve Garrett. That's a really, really slick podcast. That guy's got big advertisers and backing, and he's a radio disc jockey. He's been like a rock and roll radio disc jockey for like 40 years. He's out in the Midwest, and he does a weekly podcast, and he brings on Corvette engineers and personalities and historical people and news and content. And
There you go.
yeah, basically it runs about a half an hour. It's pretty slick. It's well produced. But like I said, unless you're into Corvettes or cars, I don't.
Dude, I saw a thing today that would have made you, it was a Corvette C8, and it went through a flooded road. And
Oh, I saw that video, and he made it.
he made it all the way through. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
Had to be 50 yards.
Yeah, a good stretch there. I was like, well, this is now I'm never going to buy that car. Because that, I mean, I can't see how that car is going to be right ever.
I have no idea. It was amazing.
I had no idea what kind of water that was. I'm assuming it's salty and or brackish.
Yes.
So that's just going to corrode everything
Everything.
that's under there.
Yeah.
So even as I did see that when you're in the Corvettes, every Tom, Dick, and Harry sends you a video of someone doing something stupid in a Corvette, as if I'm supposed to like put on my Superman suit and go out there and stop all this. I don't know what the point of it is, but
Hey, morons, don't go through that water. You're going to ruin it.
I've often wondered if people are in any other thing, like a guy that's in the Harleys, say, and someone does something asinine on a Harley. Did these guys get bombarded with videos?
Sure.
You know, tagged on Facebook, like, oh, you know, like,
Sure.
I don't understand that. I don't get it.
And then not last but least, but the Eric Zane show. Eric and I, we seem to be at odds. I love Eric. He doesn't seem to like me anymore. But anyhow.
What are you and I at odds about?
Well, episode 100 of the Boomer Bunker podcast.
I haven't heard it yet.
Bob and I just went on because it was the night before Biden came out and mumbled about gun control.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob's like, I wish we could go live. I wish it wasn't so hard. I said, it's hard. Give me 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, we just went live and we talked for about an hour and a half about gun control. And then Eric came on afterwards, and he said a lot of stuff. I don't even know if I have videos of it where he came on and he's like, John Domingo. He imitates me, and I love his imitation. It's like, John Domingo, what do we need guns for? To save us from the government.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Oh, don't say that around him.
No, you're not wrong.
Everybody thinks that the Second Amendment's about hunting. It's not.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely not. What do I know?
Yeah. That goes back into the aforementioned, why do we have the system that we do with federalism and states and
Shit like that.
That's why. It's all part of it. It's all interwoven. So I guess he doesn't like guns.
He has guns. He carries guns. I have no idea why he does what he does, or why he even says what he says.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. So, I mean, I have no horse in this race. I just know you.
Right. Exactly.
And you say someone has an issue with you. I'm like, okay, well, why?
Yeah.
You know, I thought I'd ask.
That's no problem. I don't have a problem with it. Hey, listen, if you've enjoyed this show, please do us a favor. Tell a few friends. Even share this episode on your social media accounts. It's easy to do. We are on the following social media platforms still. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/BrandXPodcast. On the Twitter, it's BrandXPod. On Instagram, BrandXPodcast. Just like and follow and share us with your friends, and we would love it if you join in on the conversation. You can send us an email at brandxpod@gmail.com.
You won't.
You won't. And believe it or not, I think we still have a voicemail, but I don't even know where it's at and how to get into it. But I guess I can get a new number. I would give you this number, but you won't call us. You won't. You know, we're on social media. You can always drop us a note in there, add us, and we would respond, but you won't. So thank you so much for listening. Come on next Fucker.
Try that one more time.
Thank you so much for listening. Come on back next week for another episode of the Brand X Podcast.
Take care.
That's it?